Sophia, you have the honor of playing the first ever female dwarf depicted on screen.
Sophia, you have the honor of playing the first ever female dwarf depicted on screen. Sophia, you have the honor of playing the first ever female dwarf depicted on screen.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all having a wonderful Saturday. The weather here is actually pretty good despite being overcast. I walked over onto my deck and looked over the railing, and it's beautiful. Even when it's overcast, it's just gorgeous. And the wind is blowing. It's nice and cool. Just absolutely serene up here. I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm so absolutely blessed to be able to be up here. But do you know what other blessing I've received today? I was looking on Twitter for news stories and things to talk about. And lo and behold, God opened up the clouds and sent me down a ray of sunshine. This story from The Hollywood Reporter is absolutely priceless. It is just beautiful. Peter Jackson says Amazon's Rings of Power TV series ghosted him. The marketing team for Amazon cannot catch a break. I feel bad for these people. I do. Every time they try something, they try to frame the show as, no, this is going to be this authentic Lord of the Rings experience. It's going to be genuine. It's going to be amazing. Every time they work their fingers to the bone to try to convince you it's going to be good, someone somewhere comes out with a sledgehammer and absolutely tears down all of what they built. And what they built was not cheap, because the marketing, not just what they get paid, but what they're putting on other platforms, that's millions of dollars. And some actress or actor comes in and can tear it down at no cost. Or Peter Jackson can come in and tear it down at no cost. They just can't win. And it's a series of blunders that are so significant and so deep and rooted into the ego and wokeness of who these people are. They cannot understand that treating people in a certain way and having certain things in place to protect the IP is absolutely essential. You do not reach out to Peter Jackson, which in my previous video I said I would do if I were in that position. You do not reach out to Peter Jackson and then ghost him. You send him the script. Even if you don't give two shits about Peter Jackson or his opinion, you still give him the script and you listen to what he has to say. And hell, offer him a job as a consultant. That's what I said in my other job. You don't have to give him a job as a director. But the news story, the news cycle of Peter Jackson signing on to Amazon's Rings of Power is priceless. It's confidence in the consumer. And do you know how hard that is to build? No, I'm not saying that that's the be-all, end-all, but it's step one. Step one of building up that trust that this show is going to be something different. You see, people have become jaded and disillusioned because nearly every franchise that they've loved and grown up with has been mutilated, bastardized, and turned into some woke piece of garbage propaganda. So if you can come out and be the trendsetter to say, we're not going to do that, and this is going to be fantastic, this is going to be something that is must see, and we're doing everything in our power to make it the most authentic, genuine experience for Lord of the Rings fans, people will just basically shower you with cash. They will be more than receptive to whatever you're offering. But Amazon went another way. They decided to snub one of the key people involved in making what people are considering arguably the greatest trilogy ever made, and for many people, the definitive Lord of the Rings experience. And you snub that guy, and you let your actresses go out in public and make just divisive, toxic, narcissistic statements that have nothing to do with promoting Lord of the Rings, and make them seem as unlikable and unqualified and unworthy as humanly possible. And then you wonder why there are these fires, metaphorically speaking, rising up all around you, and you can't put them out even with the piles of millions of dollars that you have. This story is gold. It's absolutely hysterical because it shows you that no matter how much money you have, there is no substitute for quality, competence, and experience. So let's read this story from the Hollywood Reporter because this is great. So Peter Jackson says that they promised to send him a script and then never contacted him. They asked me if I wanted to be involved. And I said, that's an impossible question to answer without seeing a script. That is the perfect answer. Yes, when some mega corporation that's acquired a franchise comes to you, you say, let me see the script. Let me see the cast. Let me see what you have in mind. What's your plan? Because Peter Jackson doesn't want his name anywhere near this, and I don't blame him. As soon as we get the first couple of scripts, they said, we'll send them to you. And the scripts never showed up. And the last thing I heard, which is fine, is that they don't want any contact. Okay, understood. That's terrible. In an upcoming The Business podcast, talking with The Hollywood Reporter, Kim Masters, the filmmaker, echoes the anecdote and phrases it slightly differently, yet makes the same point. About 4 or 5 years ago, they asked if I would be interested in it, he said. So I said, have you got the scripts yet? Because I know how hard the scripts were to write for the films, and I didn't know the people writing their scripts. They said, oh no, we haven't got the scripts yet, but as soon as we do, we'll send you the scripts. So I was waiting for the scripts to arrive, and they never did. Okay, so that's basically going into detail for the full story. Yeah. Here's the thing. Don't waste people's time. I know that may seem kind of like a rude statement, but don't waste their time. Don't go to Peter Jackson and say, hey, will you sign on without a script? Listen, I talked about contacting Peter Jackson first thing and bringing him on board. But absolutely, I would have to have a script. There's no way that you could possibly get somebody like him to sign his name to something without knowing. And I know that there are people that don't like the Hobbit movies. But let me just say, the Hobbit movies are good. They're not great, they're good. They're entertainment, they're enjoyable. Are they authentic to the books as much as people would like? No, but they're still quality movies, and they're entertaining, and they're a lot of fun. I'm just going to say that. I thought that those movies were vastly over-criticized. That's just my opinion. So he he has a pretty good track record, I would say. So bringing him on board and adding his name to the weight of Amazon and their money and Lord of the Rings itself, that is a recipe made in heaven. That is an instant win. And yet they blundered it. Still, Jackson emphasized that he harbors no hard feelings towards Amazon's series and is eager to watch it as a fan of the franchise. I'll be watching, he says. I'm not some sort of guy who wishes ill will. Well, you don't have to wish ill will. These people are doing a fantastic job of ruining themselves. These people are so incompetent. It's essentially like the Titanic crashed into an iceberg, and then they decided to steer towards another iceberg and hit that iceberg, and then steer towards another iceberg and hit that iceberg. It's like at a certain point, you've got to throw the captain overboard because he's blundering everything and puncturing holes in this extremely expensive vessel that this franchise is traveling on. Amazon Studios responded to Jackson's comments with the following statement. In pursuing the rights for our show, we were obligated to keep the series distinct and separate from the films. We have the utmost respect for Peter Jackson and Lord of the Rings films and are thrilled that he is looking forward to the Rings of Power. No, absolutely not. You don't have to include Lord of the Rings. Peter Jackson is not Lord of the Rings. His name carries weight. His name carries a lot of weight in that circle, but he is free to do what he wants. So this is bullshit. What I think is more likely is you had a bunch of people, and we've seen how egotistical and narcissistic these woke people are. We've seen them from the articles that I've written, not written, but read, rather. We've seen how they respond to these situations where they're given a little bit of authority, they're given a role in one of these franchises or one of these TV series, and the way they react is with this unbelievable amount of ego and entitlement and just absolutely no dedication to what they're doing. Everything's about themselves. Everything's about how it makes them feel. I have a video that I'm going to be uploading after this about an interview with one of the actresses who plays in the Rings of Power, and the statements she made at Comic-Con that go into what I've been talking about as it relates to blundering. And this woman basically compared herself to her character one for one. And so, I mean, that level of delusion and narcissism, these people don't get hired by accident, is what I'm saying. You have to have rot and cancer from the foundation and working its way up. An authentic Lord of the Rings experience, these people would not be cast at all. None of the people who were chosen would be cast. Because you have inexperienced and unqualified people leading this project. And so it results in 1,000 different ways. So, you know what? Let's just continue. Let's see. Moving on. Jackson was asked if a movie studio would greenlight his trilogy today. He answered, probably not. Not with a director like me and a studio that would put its money on the line for 3 movies. Oh, that's an unfortunate reality. As for the trilogy's legacy, Jackson says, if there was anything we gave to the ongoing community of filmmaking, it's that we opened up the CGI bag of tricks to have huge battle scenes. Well, that's true. You know, the battle scenes in Lord of the Rings were some of the best. So his statement here, you know, I understand why he's doing that and saying what he's saying, and I totally respect it. They insulted him by just completely ghosting him. Didn't even give him a courtesy call, apparently. Like, hey, look, we've gone another direction. Here's what we're doing. Didn't do any of that. Didn't show any respect or appreciation. Just completely vanished him from the conversation. I think it was due to ego. I think it was due to people who don't have any, how do I want to put it? They don't have the right stuff to be in a creative leadership position. There are people that are making decisions based on politics and not based on what's best for the series or best for the legacy of the franchise. I think more often than not, you get people that are unworthy, unqualified, inexperienced. This is their first or second project, and they're thinking, well, this is my time to really make a difference and make a name for myself. And more often than not, what you do is you destroy yourself. Like this woman in the video that I'm going to be uploading after this one, probably tomorrow. Her commentary is the first thing I'd ever heard about this woman. She's a Z-list actress. But the damage is done. I will never be somebody who goes, oh yeah, this really fun-loving, interesting, compelling, dynamic, charismatic actress, whatever her name was. I'll have to get it get my notes from the next video. But the point is, she's never going to make it with that attitude, because you want to be endearing to fans. You want them to think that you're genuine. You want them to think that you're fun and likable and relatable. Being bitter and narcissistic and arrogant and talking about yourself like you're some kind of villain. Like, I'm so great and I'm beautiful and stunning and brave. Who does that appeal to? No one. Nobody likes an egotist. Nobody likes a narcissist. People like other people who are at least a little bit humble. At least that's the way I see it. Anyway, this was a great article. I thought that it was very, very interesting, his perspective. The fact that they did reach out to him, which is what I said I would do, but instead of capitalizing on his name, they decided to go a different route, and here we have yet another bit of negative PR for Amazon and the show that tells you pretty much everything you need to know about how shit this thing is going to be. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate those of you who stuck around and watched the whole thing. I appreciate those of you who have continued to support this channel and support what I do. And to all the new subscribers, all the new viewers and stuff, I welcome you. I want to build the community here where we can all talk about the things that we're passionate about. And so if you like my video, if you like my content, consider supporting the channel by sharing the video, leaving a like, leaving a comment, and subscribing. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you, and I'll see you next time.